Hey guys, welcome to today's Q&A session. So we're going to answer the question from one of our friendly subscribers who's curious about how scientists know the ocean is warming up. This is an excellent question since measuring ocean temperature is not as easy as sticking a thermometer in the water. The ocean is dynamic, so we have to consider the influence from factors such as latitude, depth, and the amount of sunlight exposure when we take our measurements. Now, there have been a number of techniques developed since the 1800s, and in this summary table here, we can see that each technique has its own strengths and limitations. For example, satellites are great instruments in measuring sea surface temperature on a global scale. They are able to constantly record data while having minimal influence on the Earth environment. So the diagram summarizes the results from satellite measurements between the year 1880 and 2015. From the graph, we can see that at around 1970s, the annual temperature anomaly starts to increase and remains positive after 1990s, which directly suggests the average sea surface temperature is becoming warmer each year. However, the temperature difference between the surface and deep ocean can be quite dramatic sometimes when sunlight exposure is intense. Normally, this difference is about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. So the issue with satellite monitoring is that it only gives us information to one piece of the puzzle. For that reason, we have to combine other on-site techniques to achieve more comprehensive data. Here's a picture from the Global Ocean Observing System, which shows all the equipment implemented on Earth to measure temperature below sea surface. We can easily see that the bulk of the research is evenly distributed across the globe. However, in the North Pole and the South Pole area, there isn't a large density of measuring instruments. The main reason for that is due to the harsh conditions. Because of the limitation of artificial equipment, in which they are likely to be damaged by floating ice, scientists came up with the idea of using marine animals to be their samplers. In the Antarctic region, seals have helped ecologists measure deep water temperature for years. Basically, what the ecologists do is that they attach a sensor on the head of the seals, as you can see here. So every time when the seals dive underwater, the sensor starts recording temperature measurements and transmits that data to a base station whenever the seals come on shore. Now, this is an important measuring technique since humans can't get to everywhere on Earth with our instruments. As seals are more dynamic in water, they have unintentionally resolved such limitation by simply moving around their habitat. On top of that, there will inevitably be some ethical issues regarding the use of animals. Although it is not the ideal way to serve our purpose, ocean temperature change in polar regions are important indicators in terms of understanding the melting of glaciers and the rising sea levels. So there's always going to be some sort of trade-off. And that brings our attention to one important aspect of science, which is to refine our techniques and reduce the impact on the environment and biodiversity as minimal as possible. So that's the end for today's podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.